Here I stand on the rooftops of Paris with about a 360-degree view from the first arrondissement. I've got a helmet on my head, I got steel cap boots on my feet, and I'm watching some roofers remake an iconic grey rooftop. This marks the season finale of the Earful Tower's AB season. I told you I'd finish on a high, and I literally have. But how did I get up here, and what am I doing? Well, let me tell you. My name's Oliver G, this is the Earful Tower, and Z, or Z, stands for zinc. Well, that was quite a dramatic introduction, but this is the season finale and it has to be that way. But before we get into today's episode, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page here. Zinc rooftops. So if you've ever been to Paris or seen a picture of Paris, you should know what I'm talking about, because about 75% of the rooftops in this city are made of this really iconic zinc. Now, the men and women who make it, who restore it, who repair it, they're called couvreurs and zingueurs, and these roofers or zinkers are, it's a real special job, so much so, like the know-how and the craftsmanship that goes into it, so much so that it looks likely that next year the art of making these rooftops could well be heritage listed by UNESCO as a part of the intangible heritage. In other words, it's not the roofs, but the making of the roofs, the repairing of the roofs, the know-how, the savoir-faire that goes with it. So that's going to be touched on a little bit today. You're going to hear my interview with two people. Firstly, Constance Allard, who runs Les Trois Parisiens, which is a sort of workshop and gallery in the Marais. You're going to hear me interviewing her, getting an understanding of it, and talking about her workshops. Then, after that, I'll take you up on the rooftops where Frédéric Cordier'in is the name of the man who took us up and took us around. Then I'm going to take you up on the rooftops, thanks to the team at La Louisiane, a group of roofers who were so kind to take me up on the roofs of the first arrondissement. However, the main guy that was taking us around, Frédéric Cordier'in, did not speak a word English. So I have done a little bit of dubbing. I've got another French voice from a friend who sounds very much like him. Same energy, great energy. He's going to be in at the end talking as Frédéric. And my friend even recreated the famous roofer's whistle that you'll learn about towards the end of this episode. But instead of more music from Press Maximum right now, I will let Frédéric Cordier'in lead us into the first interview with the roofer's whistle.
Viens boire un coup, viens boire un coup.
I am sitting at the counter of a zinc and slate workshop in the Marais with Madame Constance Allard. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
I understand you are a bit of an expert when it comes to zinc.
A bit of an expert.
I'm sitting in this room with you. Behind me there's a whole bunch of zinc shapes, forms I can see. Looks like a heron, looks like gutters, looks like animal shapes. What is it exactly that you're doing in this room, Constance?
They are mainly ornaments, zinc ornaments, and it's a display of all sorts of things you can find on the roofs of Paris.
And you used the word I really liked before, the roofscape of Paris. We're not talking about the landscape here, it's the roofscape. I want you to explain, there's people at home who maybe have never considered the rooftops of Paris as a roofscape or as an iconic scene. Can you explain to us all a little bit, when you say the roofscape of Paris and the zinc, what are we talking about here?
It's like a sea. Of zinc. The zinc has been covering the roofs in Paris since the 19th century. And the zinc industry was elaborated early 19th century under Napoleon first by the zinc mine called the Altenberg near Liège, which is now in Belgium. And the Altenberg means vieille montagne in French. And the company Vieille Montagne, La Vieille Montagne, VM Zinc, still exists. And we are displaying here all the ornaments of this still existing company, which produces zinc and ornaments and all sorts of rolling zinc for the roofs.
And I think having been up on the rooftops now with some roofers, some zingers the other day, I've got a new appreciation, not just for the rooftops of Paris, but for how much craftsmanship goes into building or restoring one of these rooftops. I mean, personally, if you had asked me a week ago, I would have imagined that maybe these men and women go up with 6 big sheets of zinc, hammer it in quickly and go on to the next roof. Look at you, you're shaking your head already. This is very much an artisanal job. Can you give us a little bit of an idea? Like they take it very, very seriously to be a zingueur in Paris. What's involved in this? Why is it such a big job? Why is it so important?
It is a skill. It is a skill. It is craft. And also a bit of science. So it's very serious. And zinc is malleable and light, and that's why it was seized by Baron Haussmann when he had to redesign Paris under Napoleon III. This is a very malleable material. But you have to understand that it still moves under the heat. Right,
so it expands a little bit when it gets hot, yeah.
Yes.
So hang on, so Haussmann, he liked it. He wanted to keep it.
Baron Haussmann covered Paris with zinc. This is him who created this roofscape, actually. Because zinc was malleable as lead, because before there was a lot of lead, but zinc was cheaper and lighter, so that you could create more space under the roof, because you didn't need the same slope. So you could have rooms under the roofs.
Like the chambre de bonne, yeah.
Exactement. Voilà. So it was more space.
But today, I mean, it must have always been a problem, but when it's really hot in Paris, if you live in one of those chambres de bonnes, it gets extremely hot. That must have, is that a reason that people maybe don't like zinc?
I don't think people don't like zinc.
Maybe the people who live up there.
I'm not even sure they blame zinc. No, they can blame weather. And we have to understand that in winter, zinc also keeps a bit of heat. So it plays on both parts.
I want to talk a little bit about the craftsmen and the craftswomen who work with zinc, because this is fascinating, and you guys at home are going to hear more from them in the second part of this episode. But I'm also interested in the kind of poetry of zinc and the rooftops, the roofscape. When, Constance, before you and I were talking about it, and you said that the roofs of Paris, there's a poetry, there's novels, there's songs about it. What's going on? What's all this about?
Oh, there is a sort of fascination, because the landscape it creates is just fascinating, and there are lots of films on the roofs, action films or romantic films, and you are also nearly touching the sky when you are on the roof.
It's interesting for me, because I've been on the rooftops of Paris before, but for me it's always been about the view. which does include the zinc rooftops, but it also includes all the monuments and everything. And that's always been my perspective. It's like, oh, look at my view of the city as a whole. But it's quite interesting to stop and actually look at what's under your feet and go, oh, there's a lot going on here. And I was really fascinated by the detail, like the detail of, making everything up there at the top of the scaffolding. This, how do we say, the plieuse, what's it called again?
A plieuse.
It's just called a plieuse. Okay, so in English, it literally translates to the folder, like how they fold all the metal when they're up there. The zinc, how they fold all the zinc when they're up there. It's fascinating. It really is a science. And you come to, like when I was up there with Fred, he was pointing out these holy grail. He's a very passionate man, but he was like, this over there, look at the holy grail there, the way that they've, melded it around the shapes of the rooftops, the domes, the windows and everything. And it really is, it's like seeing things with new eyes when you look at it from up there.
Because we all know the roofs, we can see them every day, but we don't really see them. And once you know the work it represents, you don't see them the same as the association of zinc with slate. It's a kind of jewelry skill. It's you work stone, you work metal together, and it's a real art craft.
Yeah, I like that. The jewelers of Paris making the shiny surface on top.
Yes.
I love it. Now I want to talk about this room that we're standing in, and then we'll move on to the workers themselves. Mm-hmm. Fascinating bunch, these guys. But this room, as I understand, you do workshops in here. Now, a full disclosure, I know we're doing Z is for zinc, but you also do S is for slate, or in French, yes. A is for ardoise. Is that it?
Yes.
Ardoise? So you're welcome to talk about slate, but I'm mostly but in full disclosure, so you do slate cutting in here. So just so people at home, this place is worth coming into just to have a look. Like, it's a very beautiful, fascinating shop, and Constance is lovely. But tell me a little bit about the workshops that you offer here.
Well, it's a unique shop in Paris. There is no other shop and workshop dedicated to Parisian roofs. The idea was to have the roofs down the street. And it was Cyril Venturini's idea. He's the head of an important roofing company, yeah. La Louisiane. His father created in Paris in 1977. And he wanted everybody to know what is the work of the roofer.
And so the idea is he got in contact with you, said, let's make a workshop where people can, as I understand, 60 euros, you can come in and cut some slate, bring home a piece of Parisian history with you. Yes. In your backpack.
Yes, the idea is that when he restores a roof, he can remove zinc. The zinc is recycled, so it's melted again to remake zinc, so it's virtuous. The slate you can't really reuse because they've been on the roof for 50, 60 years, and we can't use them for the roof. So as we can't find any more slates from Angers in France, because the Ardoisière, the quarry is closed, it's been closed for 10 years.
And this quarry that makes the slate that you mentioned in Angers, that's from 500 years old. Yes. And recently closed. Okay, yeah.
So he thought that these pieces of roof are heritage, and we cannot throw them. That would be a sacrilege. So we thought of this workshop. Anyone can come and book a workshop to cut a slate that comes from a roof of Paris. So it is a bit dirty.
Do you get to know which building it came from?
Yes.
It's like the duck in the Tour d'Argent. You get
Yes. So we have slates at the moment, slates from Rue Montmartre. So we call this slate La Montmartre because it was on the roof on a building Rue Montmartre. And we also have slates from a building Boulevard Henri IV.
Oh, two good streets.
Yeah, so it's La Montmartre and Henri IV, Henry IV at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, and just so I'm clear in my head here, you come in, you do a workshop, you get to cut some slate, and when I'm talking about slate, I'm sitting here, so it's easy for me to imagine, but is it like a piece like this above my head here? Like the size of a...
It's the size of a piece of paper.
Okay, so we've got like an A4 kind of chunk of slate in front. Very thin, dark color.
Yes, very thin. And we propose different patterns. The first one was a little heart, well, a big heart. And we also have circles and justement, un écusson like coat of arms, you see? So you
like
can,
a shield kind of.
Like a shield, exactly. Yeah. Yes, and the heart is nice. Is very funny because it's a nice work to do and nice things to keep.
Of course,
and to give as a present.
Not to mention, you've got something romantic about. Okay, I get it. And so, if people doing one of your classes, €60, you get to keep a piece of slate as well. Yeah. So everyone at home, I guarantee, and I never do this, but I guaranteed Constance that one of the listeners at least would come and do this course. So I don't know who you are, who's going to be first, but I've made a promise, so please get in. No, but also, you mentioned the heritage. I want to talk about this for a second because it sounds complicated, but it also sounds like the zinc rooftops may be a World UNESCO Heritage Site. They already are for France, but it's in the process of becoming for... So all the newspapers are going to be talking about this soon, aren't they?
Yes, hopefully.
Well, I'm ahead of the curve here, guy.
Hopefully, we would like that this savoir-faire, we called it the geste, the skill of couvreur zinger, roofer zinger, that it could be recognized by the UNESCO for immaterial heritage.
That's interesting. So it's more about the work of making them and the sort of generational skills than the actual physical...
transmission of this skill, of this movement, savoir-faire, I should say.
Well, this is an excellent link because now we get to talk about the roofers and the zinkers who I've met through the company La Louisiane, who took me up in the first arrondissement to the top of the scaffolding, and that's what we're going to cut to in a second. But when we talk about craftsmanship that's taken seriously, these guys not only seem to have a deep passion for their job, but it's one of these old school skill sets that comes with all these fascinating little details. So we were talking about the workers do what they call a Tour de France, where they go around the country learning the skills, and then they come back with jewelry that means something. Can you explain this to me a little bit? If we see a roofer with one earring, what does this mean?
Well, it means that he went to the end of a very long apprenticeship from one town to the other to learn the skill of this work from one town to the other, because according to the région, you don't have the same roofing, you don't have the same masonry or whatever. So you have to learn across the country, different traditions, and then the apprenticeship is complete, and then you can wear an earring.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. I noticed a lot of tattoos as well. I'm not sure if they mean something.
They mainly mean that they have their skill in the skin.
Oh, you know what? I asked William with his one earring. I asked if I could touch his hand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he was doing everything by hand.
Of course.
And it looked tough, right? I mean, like it was bending things, hammering things, no gloves. And he said, you have to feel it. You have to know. I felt his hand. I'm a podcaster. I hold a microphone. My hands were like an infant child hand next to his bare hands. And by bare, I mean B-E-A-R, rough. So these guys are...
There is something, they like the matière. Today they work zinc. They cannot work lead, but they love working lead.
Why?
Because it's even more malleable and very easy and very pleasant to work. And by hand. So they do everything by hand. So I told you earlier that we are displaying VM Zang ornaments, this 200-year company, French company, which still exists. We also display the pieces, the zinc pieces of an ornemaniste individuel, unique, and he is a meilleur ouvrier de France. It's a honorific distinction, and he recreates historical pieces for castles, for recently the Musée d'Orsay. He recreated only with his hands. And he is the one who creates the héron, that you could see the bird, in his workshop near Paris.
It's fascinating. And there are a few herons in here, I noticed as well. I want to finish on this. There's... at the front, anyone who comes to visit this shop will see the fameuse plieuse parisienne, the folder, for want of a better word. The tool that they assemble up on top of the scaffolding to make everything. You've got one in here. Is that a bit of a... Do people like to play on that thing? Do you show that how it works and everything?
Yes, well, actually it has been cut because otherwise it's very big.
Like it's cut in half, basically. Yeah.
Cut in half. So we have half a plieuse so that people can manipulate the tool. It is a tool to fold the zinc, and it's funny to see how it rolls very easily with this machine, and people can try their hand with these pliers.
You're going to meet some of my listeners coming in to try it, I'm sure of that, Constance, but I want to just say thank you for your time and for your knowledge.
Thank you for your enthusiasm and your time.
Oh, my pleasure. I've got a final question for you. Do you have a favorite view over the rooftops of Paris?
This is a very hard question. No, I don't have a favorite one because, well, obviously I like the opera. It's beautiful. And all sorts of domes.
Me too. I love the domes. Okay, we share that in common. I'm going to put the link to find this shop. It's called Les Trois Parisiens, and it's in the Village Saint-Paul. And I'll put the link below. But if you're sitting with a pen, www.troisparisiens.com. I'll share that below. Constance, thank you again, and I'm heading up to the roof right now. Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.
The music that you've heard so far has been from Pressmax, and as always, do you recognize it? Over to Prez for a description. He says, to close out an epic season, we need an epic song from an epic artist. And what better song is there to end on a high note than Sous le ciel de Paris by none other than Edith Piaf? How can one think of the sky in Paris without thinking of the part of the city closest to it, the zinc rooftops? Enjoy and happy season finale. Thank you so much, Press. So now let me take you all up onto the rooftops. Firstly, you can hear me getting a little bit sort of excited and nerdy up there. Then we're going to cut to the interview with Frédéric, but I want to give you sort of a background first. When I was up there speaking French with this guy, it is as in-depth, inside baseball kind of terms of roofing that you can get. And I mean, I look it up in English. We're talking about eaves and gables, ridges and valleys, vents and pitches, shingles and panels. A lot of the stuff went over my head. A lot of the nouns, it's so very, very detailed. Next time you're in Paris, really take a look at one of these rooftops and imagine that how many sheer angles there are. So when we were up there as part of this 7-month job, when we were up there, I'll set the scene. We went up in the elevator to the top floor where there was an open window. And it was me and Augusta Sagnelli, the photographer, and Frédéric and a couple of the other roofers up there. And we climbed through a window onto the scaffolding and then went up 2 floors in the scaffolding until we were above the rooftop. And up there, they'd built like a kind of shed with a ceiling, like a covered ceiling, so even in the rain that they can do the work. And in there, they've got this quite iconic plieuse. It looks like a student desk from 50 years ago, like a wooden desktop. But it has all the tools involved in it so that you can bend and curve the zinc into any shape that you need. So that's the main part. There's tools all around, and then there's all the workers building the roof as we're watching. Let's go up, 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 and continue this episode from the top of the first arrondissement. So a little bit of background now here. I'm up on the roof on Rue des Halles in the first arrondissement. In fact, where I'm standing exactly is right near that beautiful Hector Guimard metro entrance. And I'm up here with Augusta, who's taking pictures of everything so you can see what we're talking about. And we're in the center of Paris with this incredible view, really close to the Pompidou center. I can see the town hall over there, the city hall, the Hôtel de Ville. And what's going on is the roof is here in the midst of about a 6-7 month job of totally replacing a rooftop with this iconic zinc. And the way that they do it is quite fascinating, because if you've ever looked closely at a Parisian rooftop, there's so much intricate detail. In fact, I'm looking at 1 million of them right now. It's not just zinc panels laid one over the top of each other. They've got the gutters, which are very artisanally designed. They're called English gutters, I just learned now, le chez nous anglais. And they cut and bend up on what they're calling a famous plieuse parisien, which is like a desktop that they make that's I mean, it looks pretty positively ancient actually, but it's using this one desktop that they do all these folds, they do all the hammering. All the chimney pots have the little zinc tops, the openings for the windows of the chambre de bonne. It's a really detailed work, and it's quite fascinating to be up here watching them doing the job that, in the words of Fred, who's helping us out today, is the same folds, the same work, the replacement work that their fathers did before them.
Et je vais faire une traduction de ça parce que...
Ouais.
Mais aussi, j'ai une question pour vous. Vous aimez les toits de Paris, ça vous plaît?
Moi, c'est pas un métier. En fait, moi, j'ai travaillé pendant plus de 30 ans comme couvreur. J'ai jamais travaillé de ma vie. C'est pas un métier, c'est une façon de vivre.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Frédéric Cordier'in et je suis couvreur à Paris. I have worked for 30 years as a couvreur, but I feel like I never actually work a day in my life. It's not a job for me, it's a way of life. Us, the roofers, we are like a family, we have a language, we have a mutual respect for the work, and we even have codes to communicate. A good example of a code is le sifflet du couvreur, the roofer's whistle. For example, when a roofer like me walks past some scaffolding in Paris, we whistle to the workers above, and it sounds like this. It means, viens boire un coup, or come to take a drink. Often I got talking to the other couvreur, and we share a drink, and we talk about craftsmanship and the love we have for the job. With roofing, you're constantly inspired to be artistic. Sometimes we add zinc figures or ornaments that serve no other purpose than to make the rooftop look beautiful. We are always looking to add our own personal flair to make a roof unique. And that is the magic of the Paris rooftop.
So there you have it. After we finished chatting, and I mean, you heard it just a couple of minutes, but Fred was really a character. We really got into chatting about the beauty of Paris afterwards, and after he told me about that whistle, I said, well, let's go and have a drink ourselves. And we did. Down on the first arrondissement in a classic French bistro, we had a glass of wine. He talked more about roofing. He asked a load of questions about the Earful Tower, and I told him all about this season. And he seemed quite glad indeed that he would be part of the season finale. So thank you to Fred, La Louisiane, to Constance and Les Toits de Paris. Everything is linked below. And on that note, that winds up the A-B season. A season unlike any other on the Earful Tower. I think I'll do another episode to come out next week with some final thoughts on it. But in brief, what a fantastic way of seeing Paris. It was really fun. Starting on the ground for A is for Arago, following the Arago markers, all the way to the rooftops of Paris for the letter Z. And I feel like I've uncovered a lot for myself after living here for 9 years, so I can only imagine there's been a lot of new stuff for you guys out there at home too. I'd like to put a huge, huge thank you out to the Patreon supporters of this show, patreon.com/The Earful Tower. I will be toggling those benefits in the new year, so there'll be new things on offer, hopefully to titillate the current members and to entice some new members. All of you out there who've been listening to the show, sometimes for many years, thinking, oh, I should sign up to Patreon. Maybe that will be what will get you in there. If not, maybe you've enjoyed this season so much that you want to become a member and support hard work from a lot of people. A few shout-outs for this season. Firstly, to all the guests from all their different backgrounds and all their different specialties. To my wife and occasional co-host Lena Norden G. To our editor Eddie G. To photographer Augusta Sagnelli. To Charlotte Pleasance, who does a lot of behind the scenes on the blog post that you read. To Press Maxon, the musician who's been providing original music for every single episode. And most importantly, to the listeners, without whom there would be no point at all of me doing this show at all. So thank you for being here. I'll be back again next week with some kind of roundup episode, but essentially, that's it. The AB season done and dusted. I have enjoyed it more than you could ever imagine. I hope you have too. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. And au revoir.